Who is Chuck? Chuck is...
Anyone who asks me who he is, as soon as I say he's the guy with the black hair and the sideburns, they know exactly who I'm talking about.
Chuck is tough. He's very, very experienced and knowledgeable at what he does. But 3, he is probably one of the most underappreciated teachers or instructors within that major or even on campus for the fact that he's got this huge broad base of knowledge and will teach everyone the reasons why things have to be done a certain way.
Hardened, tough man who wanted the job done and wanted it done right.
An individual with a strong will, a gruff exterior, but a teddy bear inside.
He is a person that lives and breathes broadcasting. He knows everything there is to know, new and old, about broadcasting.
It's not very often you come across someone who is as experienced and knowledgeable as someone like him.
If you want to learn everything about the business, he's the one to learn from, because he's been through everything.
Well, Titan Crew, it's kind of like a family, a dysfunctional family that meets once a week, grudgingly, very early in the morning. But when it comes time, we get the job done. You know, we set everything up, we do everything right, and I think part of that is we do want to please Chuck. I mean, he takes a lot of pride in this, and so do we. So we go down there, we film all the college games. They're not always interesting, but we try our best to make a quality program.
It's really one of the oddest collection of people I think you probably could find.
There are so many people in our major, and there are 10 people on Titan Crew. And to be a part of those 10 people, it really is an honor.
It's not like being on a sports team, and it's not like being in a class with someone. It's like you're actually working with someone.
I think Chuck's very important to the Titan Crew, not only in terms of training and helping students learn about the different responsibilities of putting together a quality broadcast, but he's kind of like the, I don't want to say a grandfather figure, because he's not a grandfather figure, but he kind of is the director that kind of pulls things together when things don't necessarily go smoothly.
Chuck is, and this isn't to undermine the importance of other people, but he may be the most important person to Titan Crew. He had the vision to take a television broadcasting major and do something practical with it that kids could use as actual skills and try to market themselves in the real world. If something breaks on campus, he'll fix it. If he can't fix it, he'll find a book on how to fix it and he'll fix it better. He is as resourceful as anybody I've ever seen, and his way of teaching is incredibly important to that group.
Chuck is probably the pulse of the Titan Crew. I can't foresee us ever being able to go out with just students and set up for a remote without him. I mean, he knows that equipment. He pretty much put that whole truck together.
He's the one who knows where everything goes, what gets plugged into what, who goes where, and nobody, even on our Titan Crew, even though we know a lot of what happens, there's still no way that we could even get a show started without him. So he is the Titan Crew, and we're just his followers.
Since he built the trucks that we're in, and he's the only person that knows them in and out and backwards and everything else, he's extremely important.
The very first year, I'm going to say 89, physical plant had a half-ton white van, window van, no seats in the back. And I put together a little portable rollabout cart that had two monitors in it, a few DAs, a little Panasonic switcher, and a very small audio board. I was sitting on a tire. That was my chair. It wasn't even a Titan Crew, nowhere near. It was just a couple of the kids up on cameras, and then I added this one on the field. We had Satacom cameras, JVC. I made the camera cables up out of coax, audio lines, whatever I needed. And every Saturday, we just were doing home games yet though. We'd go to the football field, and the press box, the press box wasn't much to brag about, but We just plugged this bad boy in and we did our first home game. And we did it on 3/4-inch tape. That's how it began. After that little white van, maybe a couple years later, I don't remember, I got a 3/4 ton blue van, window van, the physical plant had. So one summer, I took it, gutted all the seats out of it in the back, threw them out, turned the one that was in right behind the driver passenger seat, flipped it around backwards, and I put 2 racks in. And I had this little 6-input switcher. It was way in the back. I made that where the director was, and we had these big JVC 3/4-inch tape machines. I mean, they were about that long, about that deep, and about that tall, and you could use them as a boat anchor. They were heavy. And I put 2 of them in there. Then I made another rack. We had, if you want to use the term, character generator, and it wasn't that great. We did a national championship game out of that bad boy. Took a little bit of time, Omaha, Nebraska, out and back. The kids came out later with the football team. They showed up like on Friday. I left on a Tuesday, I think. We did a national championship game live from Portland, Oregon, via satellite on KBL.
The biggest memory from that was everyone going out to Portland, Oregon after the last win at Westminster and going out there for the national championship game against Pacific Lutheran. Right there, we're doing a live satellite broadcast of a national championship game. That's one of the coolest things I think I was ever a part of in college. First time I ever got to fly in an airplane. It was the first time I was ever on the West Coast. Saw the Pacific Ocean flying in. It rained in Portland the whole time. And just going through the setup, or actually the teardown was the biggest thing we had to do afterwards with all the cables for the satellite. That was quite a bit of work, but it was so much fun. It's something that I haven't really forgotten after all these years.
Then eventually we came up with the truck we have today. And the Wilmington Volunteer Fire Department was buying a new truck, and they asked us if we'd like to buy it, and we got the okay to go buy it. And then I made this one, so this is really my 3rd truck. But how the Titan Crew came about, we started doing more and more as we grew. And as we got the first 3/4-ton truck, we got the freshmen involved. And the way I looked at things, I feel if you really like this work and you like this major, you'll stick with it. So I started freshmen and sophomores out, strictly freshmen and sophomores. I let them do the high school games. The people that stuck with me for the 3rd and 4th year, I moved them up to the Titan Crew because they had experience, because the high schools was the groundbreaking. The high school was the groundbreaking. And if you stuck with it, I'll move you up to the Titan Crew. And it's worked. See, that's the trouble with Titan Crew. I pick who I want. And I pick nothing but good people. That's all I want.
He has a deep concern that his students will succeed. If you talk to Chuck about the crews and that he works with, he always refers to them as his kids. You know, I take my kids here and I take my kids there. He sees them as his kids. It's almost like a family connection that he has to them. And he really wants to see them succeed and do well. And that's rare, to have that kind of passion about something.
The fun I have is you kids, because, you know, like I tell you all the time, whether the team wins or loses is immaterial to us. It's nice when your school wins, don't get me wrong, but it's immaterial to us. We win all the time. As long as we have good production, we've won. All good replays, CG, camera shots, announcers do their job, everybody works as a team, it works out great. We've done our job, we've won.
Now knowing what the pressure's like in the real world here, you don't realize how carefree and how much control you really have over what you're doing during those broadcasts. Because once you get into television, you're going to have a lot of people telling you what you can and cannot do with things, and there's so much of that college experience where you're really in control to a great degree of what is going out there. and that autonomy gets lost when you get into the professional ranks because of other people who are in control of things.
But that's what's cool about Chuck. He gives you the opportunity to do stuff, and then he'll show you how to do it, and he'll tell you how to do it. But I don't know, personally, I think he feels it's important for you to kind of put your own spin on it.
I'd say that Chuck will always kind of be the founding father of the Titan crew, if you will, because he really is, right now, is the heartbeat of that whole crew, and he's the one that, without him, they wouldn't be able to do it week after week, and without him, I wouldn't have learned a lot of things that I learned just hands-on. No matter how unorthodox it is, he goes about explaining it, it's still, he knows a lot, and without him, the Titan crew would be, I'd say, lost.
Titan crew is, even the high school crew, both of them really are my little baby.
You've got to have the Titan crew in place. You've got to have that hands-on. Chuck set up the truck. I mean, that was the best thing, I think, that anybody could have done for this department. I mean, that gives you more experience than any newscast or any news reporting that can ever do, is actually have all that equipment that he set up in this live truck. And that's real life. I mean, that's, I've been in the business for almost, 18 years. And if you go walk into the Westminster live truck, or the remote truck, and look at the equipment, and you go into any other television station remote truck, you've got the same stuff. If you can learn that, you can do any other job there. That's where it is. This program's got to stay in place for the broadcast department to survive, because it is top notch.
I think we've done exceptionally well for a college. I know nobody can touch us, and I think I can be truthful and say that. You know of any other college that can touch us for what we did with doing high school, college, band festivals, all this stuff we've done? Basketball, high school, there's no other college.
How often do you get to follow a football team for an entire season? You get to travel, on the college's dime to go to different places to go watch football games. And it really fostered my interest in the sports television business, which I'm in now. So, you don't get to do that very often when you're in college if you're not an athlete. If you're an athlete, you're with the team. If you're not, you're staying at college and you're staying on campus for those weekends. But for us, we got to travel every weekend in the fall, or we were at home and got to do something, someone else is paying for it. And anytime you can do that, it's a pretty good thing.
Well, let me see. We promote the college, we promote our department. You kids get the practical experience. The kids, or whatever we're shooting, whether it be college, high school, Christmas parade, Christmas vespers, League of Women Voters, band festival, all those people get to see themselves on TV. It's a win-win situation. There is not a minus in the whole deal. You guys can use that on your resume tapes. I don't know of any other college that does what we do, anywhere near what we do. I don't know of any other one that does what we do. You guys, when you get done in your senior year, if you did your 150%, you got a resume tape that'll kill, and nobody in the area here that I know of, college-wise, can touch you guys with the amount that you have learned, whether it be academics, practical experience, whatever the case may be. You guys should supersede anybody that goes for a job. I'd like to see it continue. I don't want to see it fall apart. Titan crew, high school crew, what we do, the number of shows we do, the number of games we do, everything, consistency. I'd like to see it keep going, yes. I want it to grow.